Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. So, welcome to my next show, FootballWorks Football Show, with Rory and Paul. But we might be missing Rory right now, which is all good. I am hopeful that a couple of guests come on who I've lined up, and we'll see from there. In the meantime, it is me, myself, and me. So, I mean, since the last time we spoke, what's happened? We've had, I think it's been 2 international breaks, and finally we're back to Premier League football this weekend, being the 22nd, is it? 22nd or 23rd of November? 23rd of November. And yeah, it's been interesting. Been following 2 teams mainly internationally, England, but I would argue recently, more passionately, Jamaica, and through the links that I have to the Jamaica Football Federation. And yeah, also that is my heritage. I'm of Jamaican descent. And it has been interesting to see that since the appointment of Coach McLaren, I think it's fair to say there has been an improvement in Jamaica's play and their style, and also to see some of the heritage players join the fold. Fantastic. However, still fell short against the USA ultimately in getting through to the CONCACAF finals. So, yeah, that's a little bit disappointing. But I think there's been progress. And let's remember the main objective, as is spoken about, is for Jamaica to qualify for the next World Cup. So that, as far as I know, hasn't changed as an objective. So, you know, they still work towards that. And I believe that once some of the new players that have come in, the Mason Holgates, the Ramal Morrisons, Leon Bailey, beg your pardon, is back. I think once some of these players just knit it together, get used to being together, we will actually see a significant improvement, because you're talking about players of a certain standard and certain quality in those 3 I've just mentioned there alone. And it's not to say that some of the homegrown Jamaican players aren't meeting the standard too. They certainly are. And it's to see them come through, it does proud to the schoolboy football that happens in Jamaica. I was speaking on a different podcast earlier this week, and somebody pointed out to me that we don't really have anything to that level in the UK. My response was, well, you know, lads of that standing would probably find themselves already with an academy team. But into college, you might argue that at a university level, university first level, or certain colleges, their 16 to 18 offering in terms of players could be comparable. But I would say in terms of the following, in terms of national TV and TV broadcasting, I don't see anything that really comes close to that. So, yeah, I think the fellow podcastee, is that a thing? Podcastee? Contributor? Maybe we'll go with that. The fellow contributor had a point. So, yeah, it's always good to reflect on other people's input and have a thought about that. So, yeah, so what have we got going on today? So, Premier League's back. Yes, there's other football, I know, I'm sorry. Yeah, lower leagues has all been going through where weather hasn't prevented. But yeah, for those of you in the UK, you probably remember this week, if you've been in the north of England especially, we've been treated to some snow, which has had an impact on training facilities and training venues and even matches that may have gone on midweek. And then it's also had a knock-on impact on the weekend, because as that snow started to thaw, and as we've got the rain as we have today, which is moving the snow on along as well, the pitches are unplayable. I was actually set to referee tomorrow. That's been cancelled, so that's a shame. But it does just show the impact of the weather changing in this country, and how that impacts our beautiful game. So yeah, it's yeah, that's where we are. So again, just waiting for these other people to come on, if they're still going to come on. I did advertise the time to them, but it would seem that they may not be available, but that's fine. I will keep going solo. So again, when Rory and myself were last on, we spoke about the top. Well, we went through a list of the Premier League, actually, didn't we? And we looked at where some of the teams may or may not be. What I'm going to focus on, because there's a live game including them at the moment, is Chelsea Football Club. And Chelsea Football Club have been under a lot of pressure in terms of their contractual issues, their spending. In the last 5 or 6 years, they've had all sorts of embargoes over their transfer bringing in and coming in, and so on and so forth. But you see, now I think it's fair to say we look at the Chelsea team, you could argue they've got a manager that fits with the players that they've got, or certainly the performances are showing that. And something Rory and myself spoke about 100% was that we felt that Chelsea would be somewhere in the top four, or pushing for top four. Did we anticipate, for example, the Man City drop-off? No. But Manchester City are probably too good to write off at this stage. But we are where we are in the Premier League at the moment. And, it's a bit of a surprise to see where things have gone. Now, again, one of the things that's great in terms of the Chelsea model, as we might say, the modern model, past the Abramovich era, is the fact that clearly what's happened is some very, very good scouting. Now, those involved in football, actually coaching and playing is what I mean, not necessarily those who just sit and talk about it and write about it and can't kick a ball 5 yards. And I say that because all last season, for example, Cucurella was just given pelters by the press. Is this, is that, is not that great? What have Chelsea done? Signed him from Brighton, what they see? Well, if you know the game and you coach the game, one of the hardest things is to find talented, naturally left-sided players. Right-sided players are in abundance, but talented left-sided players that give natural balance to your team. There's not, a natural production line for that. So I looked at him at Brighton and thought, okay, just looks no better, no worse than anything else in the Premier League, to be honest. And just as I say that, he's just provided a cross into the box that then was headed, goalkeeper saved it, and then rebound from that was headed in, it looks like, by Enzo. But again, ironically, he's just supplied the ball into the box that created that goal. Definitely. And on that, it was in the cup, the final for Spain, where his ball in, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, did he win player of the tournament? That sounds right, but I'd have to double check that because I don't want to send out the wrong information. But I know it was respected after that tournament, and the journalists who'd been dogging him all season turned around and changed their tune. And I thought to myself, wow, because you've got to think, there's a lot of people into football, coach, play, participate in the game, and that's fantastic. Globally, football's now like $1 trillion industry. It's massive. Boys, girls, people with limited mobility, and all in between. It's brilliant. So everybody's got an opinion, everybody's involved. But what people do often is they trust and they follow what journalists say. Because for whatever reason, they might decide to just trust the journalist. But also, it can be sometimes where they just can't bother to look a bit deeper. But I was always looking at Cucurella and thought, he battles hard. Sometimes he's out bullied. He's slight frame, but never actually thought he's out of his depth. So it was interesting to see the absolute complete turnaround in terms of support for him. I found it really interesting. But yeah, just stay with Chelsea, as I say. So Chelsea, really, for me, are like a really good example of how good coaching, good recruitment, and this stands the test of time. Sorry, I just had to get the Liverpool Cup in there. This stands the test of time at all levels. You have to have a plan. As a coach, you have to know what it is you're trying to achieve. So it could be you want a team that's all attacking and very on the front foot and quite aggressive in their style. You could be that you want a team that's like passing based and retains the ball. Whichever way, and there's many more options to that as well. But you've got to remember that you've got to recruit the pieces that will make that work. And I have to say, this is where I've got to dot my cap to Chelsea, because when they were getting absolute pressure, pelters in the press, they've stuck to their guns, put players on long contracts. Arguably, for some people and the market at the time, paid over the odds, maybe. However, look at them now, is all I'd say. Look at them now. And for me, if my beloved Reds, Liverpool, take their foot off the gas, Chelsea are going to be right there. It may be one of those seasons where Manchester City, if you like, give everybody else a chance by the recent form they've been showing, which I think a massive part of that is the injury to Rodri. He's been such an influential player in their squad and team. And while I don't have the stats to hand, I know they are very much kind of Rodri plays, City win sort of level. So yeah, it's that's an interesting one. But if we look at the league table, do a little rundown. As I say, it looks like it's going to be me, myself, and me. We were hoping, as I said, to have Dave Powell from Time to Talk joining me today. Dave has been running a community interest company for the past year or so, with the focus around men and men's health. And it was a great honour to partner with him as FootballWorks last week and to help facilitate a kick around in the park, as we called it. And it's only a small-sided affair, but it was a great opportunity to have a little bit of football, a little bit of exercise, a little bit of outdoors, and a little bit of a chat afterwards. And absolutely, that's very much so what FootballWorks is about. I've done it for so many years, must be 20 years now, where sometimes it's just getting a bag of balls, meeting with a few lads, just getting them out of the house, just getting them to move around a little bit, and then talking about, not prescribed or scripted, but just kind of, you just ask questions, don't you? How was your week? How was your day? That conversation. And I found it's really helped myself, but it's also helped a number of people in the area where I live, and sometimes around the country as well. It's spread out a little bit as well. So my hope for what I do now is to kind of grow my presence on the social side of things. And on that, after a fantastic conversation about a week or so ago with a young person, I started a TikTok. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing exactly, but do you know what? What I love is it's just like a whole new kind of era and era of discovery. And anybody who knows me knows that I like technology and I like just exploring new things. So it's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing to kind of look into that and explore that. And say I've had some very positive clicks and likes. Again, I'm not expecting anything particularly huge from that, but it's just another avenue that I know people follow. So just trying to do silly little things sometimes, or even just show me working out, hoping to inspire the next person. So that's what we're talking about there. But anyway, so that's enough about FootballWorks and about me. And again, for those who don't know, ex-veteran, still a veteran player, to be honest, coach, qualified referee, FA trained mentor. So I look at the football game from about 4 different angles, and it's probably 5 now if I include being a podcaster, which is what this is all about here. So, yeah, this is just my opportunity to record what's in my head before a time comes when I can't, share that knowledge, and hopefully it'll be useful to somebody out there. And if not, it doesn't matter for me a dot, because just doing this is enough. Yeah, about 10 or 12 years ago, I had a devastating injury, and to be back in a position where I can play football again when I do, I feel blessed to do so. So, yeah, this is just what's in my head. Hope it helps. If it doesn't, well, you don't have to tune in. There's billions of other bits of content that you can follow. So, anyway, just looking at the Premier League table, I mean, in real time, this will change a little bit maybe because we've got Leicester versus Chelsea, 82nd minute now. So it may just adjust a little bit. But currently, you've got the table, Premier League, Liverpool top, 11 games played, 28 points. City in second, Man City that is, 11 played, 23 points. Chelsea in third, 12 played, 22 points. Arsenal in fourth, 11 games, 19 points. Now, again, what's interesting is that was roaring my top four. Now, okay, it's 11 games in, but we did say we'd do a little review after about 10 games in, because that's when you really know how the table's looking and what's happening. But I've got to say, position 5 is the one. Position 5 is Nottingham Forest. 11 games, 19 points. Now, I'm not a betting man, but I'm quite sure somebody who put a bet on them getting into the top 10 before Christmas, even the top 6, is laughing all the way to the bank. Because absolutely, that's got to be, for me, the surprise of the season. When you consider in 5th place it's Forest, in 6th it's Brighton, even Fulham at 7th, Newcastle in 8th, Villa in 9th, and Tottenham in 10th place. I mean, I don't know where you get the odds for that. But yeah, if we just jump back to the top 4, so probably what we'd say the usual suspects. Probably what's unexpected though is the start that Arne Slot's had at Liverpool, and you would literally say he slotted right in. Sorry, yeah, had to go there. But yeah, unbelievable. You know, we love the game, and even an amateur level, if you have a different person come and manage you and maybe brings in 1 or 2 different players, or somebody who wasn't starting then starts starting, and who was starting drops to the bench, and team gets just shook up a little bit, doesn't always go so well. So for Liverpool to be where they are is quite impressive. I mean, Manchester City in second place, I mean, as difficult a run as they've had recently, they're still in second place. So let's not discount them in any way, shape or form. As I say, Chelsea, I wouldn't even say they're overachieving. If you look at their squad and you look at the players that they've got, they're absolutely in my opinion, the title race of this season. If we're saying that Arsenal are still in the title race, then Chelsea have to be. Even though they might not have been expected to be at the start of the season, if we look at the table, it doesn't lie. And then, as I say, just completely doing a fantastic job, Nottingham Forest. And you've got to say hats off to their manager. Absolutely, because he was at Wolves, did really well with Wolves, kept him steady for a couple of years, and then after that went to Tottenham, not so good, but then he's gone to Forest. And I think sometimes it shows in football that you've got to find the space that fits you, and that's the kind of environment. Sometimes the part of the country, where it is, has an impact. The things we have to also consider is, for managers and players, when you move club, you're not just moving club sometimes, you're also moving your family, or you're going to be away from your family. And that can have an impact on you as a manager, because let's remember, your strength and resource to inspire comes from the people around you that you love and care about you and you care about. So if for any reason that's kind of interrupted with or more difficult to organise, then that can have an impact on how well you perform. So props to Nottingham Forest. Got to say that 19 points in 5th place. So we've got 6th, 7th, and 8th. 9th and 10th. Next 5 teams, so we're talking Brighton, Fulham, Newcastle, Aston Villa and Tottenham. So Brighton, again, doing really well. Top 6. I think they're everybody's second team in the Premier League in terms of, unless you're a fan of a team on the South Coast, maybe, or Crystal Palace. Bit of history there, I believe. But yeah, just how they do things, how they run their club. Their stadium's great. That their fans are enthusiastic and they're just well run. They do football as football should be done. They make their money from being shrewd in their scouting and then also making really sensible sales of their players. So it's actually just a joy to see football sort of go back to kind of being self-sufficient in that way, or a club that's self-sufficient. I'm a really big fan of that. Really big fan. So we talk about 7th place now in terms of Fulham, and that includes Marco Silva, who I think is doing a fantastic job as manager there. They're up to 7th place, 11 games played on 18 points. Now, still in the hunt, but probably slightly underperforming. You might say is Newcastle United, 11th place. 11 points in 8th place on 18 points. But again, they're in the hunt. They're only a point behind Arsenal on the same number of games. So, the top 10 in the table, it's between 10th and 5th, you're talking a differential of like 3 points. So that's only one win. You're shooting up quite a few places because it's quite flat in between those places for points. So, yeah, which moves us on to Aston Villa, who you might, or I might think were or are starting to feel the effects of being in Europe a little bit, because I would have thought Villa would have been closer to being in the top 4. But like I say, in truth, they're on 11 games played and 18 points. So they're only actually a point behind Arsenal. So Arsenal drop points, they get points, and nobody else does anything. They move into 4th place, or could do potentially. So yeah, then we're looking at Tottenham. Now, I've got family members who are Tottenham fans, and it kills me to say it, because they're a big club. They've always had a good history of playing nice football, getting fantastic players, internationals and all sorts. Remember the debut of Klinsmann. Unbelievable. And it was actually a goal machine for them in the time he was there. And there's been other great players during their period of time in the Premier League in recent history. But again, what Tottenham really needs is to back up what they are now, with the fantastic stadium and facilities that they have, training ground, etc. They have to get some silverware somehow, and just kind of underline their move forward into the next tier of Premier League football team. Silverware is really what in my opinion, kind of solidifies your position on the global stage as a football team. And just they need silverware. They really do. So yeah, Tottenham played 11 games on 16 points, and they're in 10th position. So we move on to what's affectionately known as the bottom half of the table. And we start in 11th place on 11 games played, on 16 points, matching Tottenham, but goal difference has separated them. Tottenham positive of 10, but they're on 16 points, Brentford. And I think Brentford, you can't not like Brentford as well. I mean, they're doing so well for a club their size to even be in the Premier League. And you would argue that they're not a mainstay, because I think for every season they've got to work really hard to stay in there. But I think they give such an honest account of themselves. And players like Wissa and Mboma and Pinnock, who's also been starring for Jamaica, are a big part of the success that they're actually having at the moment. And I hope they continue to have. Bournemouth in 12th place. Areola, they're doing a really good job there. Got some good results recently. 11 games played on 15 points. And then we're going to go to 13th place. And 13th place is Manchester United. 11 games played on 15 points. And listen, I'm a Liverpool fan, as I make no secret of, but I will be honest with you. A healthy Premier League needs a healthy Manchester United. That's a fact. They're a global entity in terms of football club. They are massive. If you look at their accounts and their turnover, they're still one of the largest football teams in the world. That's a fact. But in terms of their performance on the pitch and their playing ability to kind of win the league, or maybe even a cup they might get, but the league, you would say they've got some work to do. But they've got a new man going in, and he had recent success in the Champions League, so that's fantastic. Shows his pedigree and his quality. And again, I'm a sporting person, so I like to see competitive and fair sport. So I've got no axe to grind. I'm not one of those, just because I'm a Liverpool fan, I hate Manchester United. Nope, no. Want to see them do well because it's good for the Premier League. If everyone's successful, it's just everybody's got a bigger cake to share, in my opinion. So going to on 14th place, we're talking about West Ham, and it's post the David Moyes era and post the Conference League European Cup winning era. And Lopetegui's in there. 11 games played, 12 points. Wouldn't necessarily say they're in danger at the moment because the bottom three are somewhere adrift of that, nearly 5 points adrift. But I think they just need to keep getting results, getting the wins, getting draws, getting wins, and they'll be okay. But I still think West Ham are underachieving for, the structure they've got in terms of the stadium and fan base, and they've got some decent players. But yeah, they are where they are, and even after 11 games, the table generally doesn't lie. 15th place, 1-5. That's Everton. The noisy neighbours for any Liverpool fans. They're on 11 games played and 10 points. And what I have seen online is some fantastic development of their new stadium. And no longer will they be across the park. They'll be near the water. But what they are building is something that looks quite impressive. And that's never a bad thing. When you're looking around in the future, if England wants to host tournaments, Euros or World Cups, the more state-of-the-art stadiums we have, the better offer we put towards FIFA and UEFA, and that increases our chances because the infrastructure is pretty decent in the UK, and the stadiums of past 20 years have always been good. So, yeah, let's hope we can get a tournament back here before too long. So, yeah, Everton 15th place in the table on 10 points. And they do need to look over their shoulder because, Crystal Palace, as I'll come to in a bit, they're only 3 points behind. And I think really, they've got the England goalkeeper. But for him, they'd have probably been relegated at least 2 or 3 seasons ago, in my opinion. 16th place is Leicester, who's currently playing against Chelsea. And it looks like they've just been awarded a penalty, is that right? In the 94th minute. It looks like Jordan Ayers stepping up to take it. So Chelsea are currently 2-1. Sorry to anybody who's trying to stay away from the results. But let's have a look here. So let's just wait for this penalty to be taken. Lavier's got a yellow card for the challenge. I didn't see it because I was too busy talking to you guys. Let's have a look. Okay. Hi, is that Tristan?
Yes, well, go on.
How you doing, Tristan? You okay?
I'm okay. I'm just watching IU score this penalty, man. Well
Yeah.
deserved. Leicester have been unlucky a couple of times in this match, They
Yeah.
have been
Is that what you
unlucky
think?
every time. Yeah. Every time they've got something started, but that Mudwiku looks like a player, and Jackson looks like a player, and they're not afraid to play the ball in behind. So I think Chelsea are going to be dangerous this season, and they're not afraid to play the ball forward, and that's what's won them the game. This game. Other than that, Leicester have been not been too shabby.
So, Tristan, before we talk more, and thank you for joining me because I thought I was going to go solo for about an hour. Just explain to the people that might watch this later how we know each other, how we've met, and what you're about, and what motivates you in terms of the football world and the world in general.
Oh, the world in general motivates me is being a good person, having a good character, loving everyone, and bringing out the best in everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
if they can't get with it, we have to move on. But football is an amazing game. It brings a lot of people together, and it's about having a positive attitude of wanting to win for each other, win the ball back for each other when we lose it, when we score, celebrate. and whatever goes on the pitch stays on the pitch, and that's my love of football is documented from hearing it outside the door and outside my window, because Highbury was down the road, and I used to hear the Arsenal fans singing Ian Wright, right, right, and then used to
Okay.
park on my car door all down my street. My
Yeah.
love of football is amazing.
Okay. So, hang on. You're revealing something there. Does that mean you're an Arsenal fan?
Yes, I'm an Arsenal fan.
Okay. Cool. Tell me about that. How long you been an Arsenal fan for?
All my life, all my life, all
Yeah.
my life. Yeah, I've
How many
watched them
years
all
is
my
that?
life.
Man and boy, yeah?
Yeah, man and boy. Yeah, George Graham was the first manager I was under, and
Wow. Gosh, you're
then
going
we
back.
went. Yeah, and then we had a TV interview live on TV for the new manager, which was Arsene Wenger. My uncle
Yeah.
spoke on that one. He was actually
Okay.
interviewed on the news for that one. How did they
Yeah.
think he was going to do? Everybody thought he was going to do rubbish. My uncle was saying, no, 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 give him a chance. Look out, look, he may be doing things. And and since then he had us 20 years in the Premier, 20 consecutive years in the Premiership, top
Yeah.
four. And Arsenal have never been relegated from the Premiership since it began. So it's only
Amazing
Everton
stuff.
that hold that record.
Brilliant.
So that's why I'm an Arsenal fan, and it's just there's something about Arsenal and the way they play that has
So,
my heart, no matter what team they field.
a question for you. Sorry to cut you. In that period of time, the Premier League time,
Mm.
who's been your favourite player for Arsenal?
Who's been my favourite player?
Yeah.
It has to be Fabregas, even though he hates the
Okay.
manager. Even though he
Okay.
doesn't like Arsene Wenger, it has to be Fabregas. That guy played at 15 and he was doing unbelievable things at 15 years old. My
Yeah.
favorite ever player is Henri,
Yeah.
because I'm exactly like him. I played exactly the same way as he did. I cut him from the left hand side and I put the ball in the bottom of the net.
Yeah.
But Fabregas playing at 15 at that age, going into a Champions League squad, yeah, and doing and achieving the things that he was doing at that age, for me was phenomenal, phenomenal.
I
So
think
we
that's
have
an
to give
amazing
thanks.
word
We have
to
to give grace
use.
to him.
I think
Yeah.
that's an amazing word to use, Tristan, because if you think of like the world of work, there's very few opportunities where, excuse me, a 15-year-old could stand toe to toe with like an experienced
Mm,
person and be
mm,
respected as an equal peer. Yeah.
mm.
If you're an engineer and you say went into, I won't name companies because none of them are sponsoring me at the minute, but like if you
Oh
went into
yeah,
a certain
Tom.
company as an apprentice, you know for a fact like that guy or girl who's been working there and like and they're 50 odd years old, they're not respecting you until you can show them what
Mm,
you're doing, and even then they're kind of like, yeah, but you know I've been here forever sort of attitude. Where football's a
mm.
leveler. If you're good, you're good,
You're good, yeah.
and if you're good,
If
you're
you're
ready.
good,
Do you know
you're
what I mean?
ready. You're
You're ready.
ready.
Yeah.
You're ready.
So that's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. So,
Yeah.
Tristan, I was just talking about the Premier League. I'd got as far as Everton and Leicester.
Yeah.
16th place, as I was saying, was Leicester, 12 games played, 10 points, just before this game finished, because I was looking at the table from a few moments ago, or an hour ago, I should say. Ipswich are in 17th place on 8 points. Talk to me about Ipswich, actually, because they've come up this season. How do you feel Ipswich are doing?
I don't really know too much about Ipswich, but it's nice to see where they are. They're in 17th.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're on 8 points. It's not a bad start. It's not a bad start to be on 8 points. Same with Leicester.
mm,
It's not a bad start to be on 10 points. But it's
yeah,
now how they negotiate through these teams, and if they're setting up with too many high blocks, they're going to concede a lot of goals. So they've got
yeah,
to come with a game plan where they can link up their striker. So Leicester's problem today is they couldn't link up with their striker Vardy in the first half, and that was their problem. And for most of the game was getting Vardy into the game. So they've got to somehow get their team in a counter-attacking mode,
yeah.
yeah, or link up with their striker a lot more, these bottom teams, because otherwise they become very isolated against the bigger teams in a possession-based game.
I like it. I like your analysis because, I mean, do you think then that Chelsea have set up with a tactic that was to stem the flow of ball to potentially Vardy and other players in
Yes,
the Leicester front line.
yeah. It was their job to pin them in, and then basically just pick the holes in the gaps and the little runs, the little sneak balls around the corners. And
Yeah,
Jackson showed pure, pure. I've rated him for a while before everybody was saying he was rubbish. I was like, no, give this guy a try. Pure persistence and everything. So they're playing with the confidence and a new swagger. But yeah,
yeah,
it was their job to pin teams in, just like Arsenal did it and Barcelona used to do it. Pin teams in on the edge of the box, little movements, little nicks, little rounds and corners. So that's why so many teams set up in a low block, and these bottom teams sit up in a low block, but sometimes they can't get out, so they need to find the counter-attacking ways. Brighton was great for it.
yeah.
Yeah, finding countering ways to get out of that low block and get straight into the attack, get straight into a counter attack, or they've got to find a way to link up with their strikers, and that's what it's about, and that's all I can say for the bottom teams. If they can link up with their striker, or they can get out in counter attacking moves, they can get
Mm,
enough points to survive and stay up the table.
brilliant, brilliant. Really good contribution. I mean, again, it's interesting your analysis there because it's almost like the teams in the lower half of the table are saying, look, we can't stand with you toe to toe. We can't play an open base football with you because our players ain't got that ability. Bottom line, that's the truth, isn't it? But
Yes,
if we're tight defensively, can you break us down? And then can we maybe get something from a set piece or a corner, free kick, whatever? Or like you
yes,
say,
indeed.
Brighton do with the pace they've got, like Minamino and others, how they break
Mm,
quickly, and go
yes,
for a
yes,
team
indeed. Yeah.
when they're still trying to get their shape back together. Really,
Mm.
really, really, really good, Tristan. I love that. I love that. So, last three places in the Premier League we're going to cover. 18th place, we've got Crystal Palace. 11 games played. They're on 7 points. 7 points. Now, I know in close season they lost at least they didn't they to Bayern, but they've still got SA. And I don't know. And they had a new manager in, was it Glasner, towards the end of last season? So I'm kind of surprised to see Crystal Palace on 7 points in 18th place, i.e., in one of the relegation spots already.
I've
Your
to
thoughts
tell
on
you
that?
my thoughts on that. I think it's the manager, the club run from the top up. I don't think it's good at Crystal Palace. That's the only thing
Yeah.
that from the top up. I don't think it's good at all.
You mean
I
from the
don't
top
think.
down, like Steve
Yeah,
Parish
yeah,
down? Yeah,
yeah. Because they've had the players.
yeah,
Trust me, they've had the players over the
yes.
years. They've had some great players. They've had some great
Zaha,
great talent.
Esse,
Yes, they've SA.
Aloisi,
Come on, and before that as well, all them
Conor
players that
Gallagher.
were informed and all of
Yeah,
that, when they were
yeah,
all informed and everything, yeah, they've had some great players. Yeah,
100%.
yeah, and I think it's from top down how they maintained it and kept them, and that's why they never got nowhere because the club from top to bottom's not run good enough, basically for Crystal Palace to actually sustain any attack and become a better than a fight for survival every season or just above survival. And
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and that
I hear you.
that's sad. It's a sad issue because there's a lot of players that we do like in there.
There's some really talented players in the Crystal Palace squad, really talented.
Mm,
But like you
mm,
say, for what at the moment, and I don't know whether is it the culture of the team, the culture of the players not linking with the managers they have come in. But in recent
yeah.
times, it seems like the only manager who's really got a song and dance out of them is Roy Hodgson.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. And it
I
took
mean,
all his experience as
yeah,
well.
there you
It took
go,
all and it took
there you
all of
go.
his experience, and they still finished low, but it took all of his experience, and it took all of his England experience as well, and they
Yeah.
still had to let him go. So that's why I said it can't be the manager. It's got to come from the top of the club, and
Well,
that's what I
I
was.
think
That's
the
what I was
reason
trying to
Hodgson
say.
had to
Yeah,
go was health issues, wasn't it? There was
yeah,
health
yeah,
issues. He had an issue on the
yeah. I
training
know.
ground, and he had to come out. That was a really sad way for someone to exit football, really.
Mm,
But again, at the end of last season, when Glasner, I'm sure it's Glasner, when he came in, Crystal Palace seemed to be okay. But I think again, this is where Brighton do it better than anybody else for me. They can
Mm,
release their 1 or 2 best players in the window,
mm,
but they've got something coming through that's as good, if not going to turn out better. So the net
yes.
effect of the team is that the team is still of the similar quality, if not moving forward. Now, what's
Yes.
amazing to
Yes.
another level is that they also bring in coaches and managers, more coaches now, because that's the structure now, isn't it? Most people are a head coach rather than a manager of the
Mm,
team. But they bring in a coach who they know will probably go from them in a season or 2 seasons, but that's fine because Brighton know what their identity is.
the
They're just
structure.
like, yeah, exactly. You're passing through. You're passing
Mm,
in. You know.
mm.
So I'm just going to open the studio a little further because we've got another guy coming in. Let's add him in. There he is, Mr.
I better
Rory.
switch off.
Mr. Rory. No. You stay on, Tristan. Now we're just sharing the
Yeah.
air. Don't you worry. Mr. Rory Bives, what are you saying, bro?
Paul, how you doing, mate? You're right. You okay? I just seen your link. I just seen your link in WhatsApp, so I just pressed it.
Yeah, there you go. That's all it's about. Do you know what I mean? I've just been chatting. Tristan's joined me. He's been chatting. And listen, you two need to talk because Tristan, who do you support?
I'm an Arsenal fan.
Hey, Rory, who do you support?
Obviously, Arsenal too.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We have got some things to talk about. We've got
There
some
you
things to
go.
talk
You
about.
see? You
Oh
see the
dear.
magic of what I tried to bring together today. You see what I tried to do there. You see?
It's a
Yeah.
blessing with two or
Thing
more
about the truth-
gathered, so it's a blessing.
Yeah. Thing about the
Anyway,
truth, Lynn, I don't know how long you got to talk about it. To be fair,
sorry, I'm just gonna have a quick drink. Sorry.
All right, we'll go into
Do you know?
Arsenal, but let's
Just
go.
gonna have a quick drink there, right there.
Let
Because
let
as we're talking now, top of the Premier League, top of the new Champions League. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm
yes,
saying.
yes, I do support Liverpool as well. My niece is Liverpool as well, so I do support them as well. But the reason why Liverpool are top is because their forward going options are like amazing. They're top three,
Mate,
and they're top three
we
off
are
the bench.
blessed.
And Curtis Jones in midfield. That, as I've always said, he's going to be a player. And
Yeah.
you did shore up your player. And one player that I always wanted at Arsenal was Soboslai, because
Yeah,
Soboslai was
yeah.
exactly like what's that player that left us in our number 8 role? Um,
I don't know who's
uh,
Arsenal fan.
yeah. I can't remember his
Don't worry.
name. Yeah,
That's okay.
but
Xhaka.
he played in number 8 role at Arsenal, but and he left us. And I said I want Soboslai because Soboslai is a dirty player. He can switch a ball. He can get up and down the pitch. He'll take a yellow card. He'll take a red card. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he will bring some steel into the Arsenal team, and he will bring up
100%.
numbers.
Listen, you've got rice, baby. You're good. You've got rice,
I know,
baby.
but
You're good.
Solobai was the player to play in the number 8 role. He was the player to get, and we missed out on him. And we could
Listen,
have paid the 60 million release course, but we didn't play it. We didn't pay it. You did. You paid it.
let me tell you something, Tristan. Let me tell you something. And Rory, I don't know whether you saw this week, right? I was watching a podcast that Rio Ferdinand does. Rio Ferdinand presents. Got no links
Yeah.
to him, so it's not. I'm not plugging. But you know, if I got some of his success, I'd be great. I'd be great with that. I'd be really happy with that. But he was talking to Robert Lewandowski, yeah,
Mm.
and it turns out that in the era that Ferdinand was at Manchester United, yeah, Lewandowski had agreed to go to Manchester United.
Wow.
But actually, what happened is the club. I think he was at German club. It escapes me. But he was in Germany at the time, and they'd said to him,
Dortmund.
"You're too, Dortmund. There you go. Klopp's old team, isn't it?
Yeah. Dortmund.
You're too important to us for us to let you go. Yes, you might have agreed the deal, but we're not letting you go." And Ferdinand's face, because he didn't know. He didn't know. It was like literally new news. It was like literally broke it in the conversation. And his face was like, oh, man, we'd have been it was amazing. It was just one of those beautiful things where two elite professionals, Dowski's still playing, but, you know, players who've got to an elite level were talking, and then you realise how close it is, like a sliding doors moment where somebody could end up here or here. And if that team gets that person, then that team goes like that, and that team doesn't get them, and that team goes like, you know what I mean? And that's the amazing thing with football. Just the moments where somebody could have made all. Imagine in his prime, Lewandowski in the Premier League. Woo.
I
Yeah,
know,
it'd be a
I
problem.
know, I know.
It'd be a problem.
It would be
Listen, in the era of Manchester United that had Ferdinand in there, and they've got him at front. Lord Jesus.
I know. Man, you were always a threat. Man, you were always
Always.
a threat. I remember the battles with Arsenal, Man U all the time. And I remember the battles and the threats and everything and how good they were. They pushed us to our absolute limit every year and every season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like to see them go down is like where they are now is like what Cristiano Ronaldo said. It's like they didn't move on. And it's like it's crazy to hear that. But going back to Liverpool, I have to say you've got so much strikers coming off the bench as well as on the pitch. And that's why your attack is going to be phenomenal this season. That's why I could see you finishing top 2 this season. Yeah. And I look at Van Dijk. I've never rated him because he does all the pretty stuff. Your best defender is the guy next to him. Yeah. He does the dirty stuff. He covers Trent Alexander. He mops up, he cleans up, he's hard in the tackle. Your Van Dijk's too busy putting Soul Glow in his hair. Yeah.
Oh,
Trust me, yeah. Acting pretty. And he does all the pretty stuff like William Saliba. Yeah. Where Megagales, does all the hard work. Yeah. That partnership works. Just like at Arsenal. It works at Arsenal.
Have you heard these
It works. It works for you. At Liverpool, do you get it? Yeah, and it works. It works. Yeah,
it does work, bro. We're top of the league.
It works.
We're top of 2 leagues.
It works.
Yeah,
it works.
All
It
good.
works. Yeah,
no,
but I do
rate
Konate. I do rate him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's decent. And I mean, to be fair, I think it was after we played them in Europe. We played, I think it was RB Leipzig or one of these Red Bull teams, and he was playing for them. And it wasn't long after that game that all the rumours went around us signing him, and then we got him. And when he first come to us, I was like, man, he looks a bit big and heavy. And then clearly, to me, it looks like in training, he's got under Van Dijk's wing because he's just getting smoother and smoother in his defensive craft. You know what I mean? And you're right. The thing is, you always need to have somebody to hand the baton on to. And Van Dijk ain't going to run around forever. You know, thanks to Jordan Pickford blocking his knee. And not even get the yellow card, Van Dijk may finish a year or 2 earlier than he would have done, but for that injury. So we have to have somebody who's going to take the mantle from him. But I like what you were saying about Curtis Jones. I mean, geez, this season, Curtis Jones, the levels he's at is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
When Liverpool played Arsenal in the early seasons, we're going back 2 seasons ago, I dreaded Curtis Jones playing because of his legs and his acute passing and him keeping it simple, but his cute passing, and that's what made your midfield dangerous. Even though you didn't have a great midfield, you had Thiago Silva in there and everything. Hang on. We didn't.
Tristan, 1 second. You've mentioned 2 words there, right? You can't mention 2 words without us saying something, right? Rory, as a coach, as a manager, Thiago Silva, give me something about him, man. Give me something about him. Thiago Silva, who's now retired.
He's a great ball player, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is, he can't get up and down the pitch.
Well, he's retired now. He's retired.
He's had no choice to retire.
No, exactly. Couldn't get his body back. Couldn't get it back to the levels. Yeah. Listen, I've seen some training clips of this guy, right? And the one thing I've always been told when I was playing, now coach, and I try and pass that on, is no matter what you do, if you want to play football, is master the ball. First thing you need to do when you want to play football, have a ball in your yard. Have a football at home. I'm not saying kick it around your house, but have a ball at home. And the amount of kids that I coach, and I'm like, you got a ball at home? Oh, no. So they're going to come back, and the next time they touch a ball is 1 week later for like 45 minutes out of an hour. And you're thinking, no, this guy, man, honestly, I saw some things in man's doing with the ball. I'm thinking, how are you getting a ball to do that? The manipulation of the ball. And the thing is, when you understand the football like that, when you have a relationship with the football like that, when you're on a pitch in those moments where you've got a split second of thought to do something, it's easy because the ball's coming at you. You're not in a panic because you're like, yeah, I can deal with that. I don't know if you remember the goal he scored on the half volley, but it wasn't really a half volley because it didn't actually bounce and touch the ground. But he volleyed it and it just stayed at the same height. And that was only about 30 centimetres above the ground. And it stayed at the same height from about 25 yards away, outside the area, and just went in the goal. And like it was Steven Gerrard-esque from like the cup final against West Ham. And honestly, the things he would do on a pitch in a game, you're like, mate, we never got Thiago Silva at his very, very best. He was on his way, down in his career in terms of age and ability and speed and stuff like that. But as a player, geez, as I say, there are some people who just, from whatever age, they've mastered the football, and what they can do with the ball is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. While I'm still on, Rory, I just wanted to bring something up that popped up on my Facebook feed today.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen it as well. Some of the lads from when we was at Borough Victoria just doffing a cap to Kyle, our captain of that time. Yeah. Because post-COVID, we did lose him, sadly. But it looks like a few of the lads doing a charity game or something like that. Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, I think it's a charity game, like a memorial game. I think it's today. Is it 6:45? Is that right?
Is it 6:40? Yeah, that's right. So, Ilkeston Town, 6:45 kickoff, bar and food's open, plenty of shelter, raffle prizes, and it's in honour of Kyle Thurman, who was our captain. Absolute, what's the word? Committed beyond committed when he played. Put his body on the line, crazy, to help his team and defend for his team. I don't know if you remember that game was over at Eastwood, Rory, and he's come and his knees were like red with inflammation. He's like, I want to play. And we've had to say, Kyle, mate, you can't, mate, look at your knees. They're like literally blood red with inflammation. He was that kind of a soldier where even if he's on the floor beaten up, battered, he wants to play for you and give you 110%, which isn't even possible, but he'd give you 100% every time. Amazing stuff. So yeah, I'm just going to wrap up the league because I just want to complete what I started. 19th place, we've got Wolves, 11 points and 11 games and 6 points, running ahead of myself. So young, exciting manager Gary O'Neill in charge of the team from my old stomping ground, Wolverhampton. Obviously, Madueke is not his favourite place, even though he's gone there and scored a hat-trick, but his social media says different, don't like it. Rory, as a coach, talk to me a little bit about Wolves and Gary O'Neill and what's going on there, because last few seasons they've looked comfortable, maybe towards the end of the season struggled a little bit, but they've never been, at this stage, so far adrift of the rest of the league. What's going on?
To be honest, like the amount of times I've seen Wolves, they actually play some good football. But the only problem with Wolves, I'd say, they need that killer instinct up top. Because I've seen quite a few games, even when they played against Man City. They played really well against Man City, but they never, you know what I mean? It's that killer instinct up top. I think that's what they're actually missing. What the Priest had before. They're probably missing like a few defenders also. You know what I mean? A few solid defenders. Yeah, that's what they're missing. But they try to play football the right way. I'm not going to lie. Gary O'Neill actually tries to play football the right way.
Well, haven't they lost two of their better players? Was it Cunha? Has he gone to Chelsea or did he go to City? Cunha?
Yeah, Cunha used to play centre midfield. Yeah.
So again, a bit like what's happened at Palace, prize dual players gone, team slumped. To me, that's no surprise. That's absolutely no surprise. You can't take your best player out of a team and expect to deliver the same. But you see, that's where club owners are now, right, that player as an asset is at their peak. Let's cash in. Let's cash in. Right. Now, as I say, Brighton are the best at doing this. I mean, I still think about the Caicedo bullet that we dodged at Liverpool. Hopefully, he won't come back to bite me when I've said that next time we play him. But
do you know what, Paul? I think Caicedo's played well.
No, that's not.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. He's a decent player, but start of the season, he was looking like not good value for money. But let's remember,
Mm.
there was a week that Klopp came out and he said, "Yeah, we can't compete with £100 million transfers." And then we went back in with a £110 million offer, but Chelsea got his signature.
That thing
That's
could
just one of
happen to you.
it's the madness of the game, and it's the madness of the game. So, last but not least, and I mean, for me personally, I like Gary O'Neill. I think he was always an honest pro in his career, hardworking. Maybe not the most skillful, but definitely not the worst. But yeah, probably underrated as a player, but as a manager and a young English manager, I really hope he can turn it around at Wolves, because I'd hate for him to lose his job, because another English manager that will be out, and then guess what will happen? The clubs will look at Europe to replace him. Very rarely will they look at England. And then he'll have to be like doing like a Plymouth or, Coventry City job or whatever, which is no disrespect to those fans or those teams. But he has shown that he's got the attributes to be a Premier League manager. So I just hope he gets the continued chance. And plus Wolverhampton's my old stomping ground, so I've got a little soft spot for them as well. So bringing up the rear, 20th position, 11 games played, 4 points, Russell Martin, Southampton. Go on, Tristan, give me a little bit about Southampton.
Southampton's one of them up and down teams. I think they've lost the identity of playing, the way they play. At one point, I think they used to play with all the defenders running forward. If I remember, at one point when they were in the Premiership at one time, yeah, and they went to something. But I think they've just lost their whole identity of way of playing. I don't understand their way of playing in the Premiership. I haven't watched them much, but I don't understand their style of playing, so I can't really comment on it. But Southampton's always been a Premiership team, so I wish them to stay. And it's like Wolves as well. Wolves have always had some guile in midfield. The guy with the ponytail, remember, and the actual other experienced midfielder with him. When they lost them two, they've never had nothing up front for 3 or 4 years or 3 or 4 seasons. So that's why they kept finishing near the bottom, because they never had nothing for 3 or 4 years. And the thing is about Southampton, I pray that they stay up, but I think it's relegation for them, because I don't think they have an idea of playing, and I don't think they're going to do the recruitment to actually help them. They don't have a style of play, and that's a shame, because Wolves have a style of play. Fulham have a style of play. There's other teams that have a style of play. I don't think they have a style of play. You've got to have some sort of style of play to get consistent results.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that, because again, when Rory and myself were at Borowash, we set up originally like as a 4-4-2, and then I think we was going home in the car from a game, and we said, now we've got to change it, and we changed it to like a 3-5-2, and all of a sudden we stopped leaking goals. We started to get a bit of success,
you've got to
and
have
we stayed
consistency,
with that shape and that structure.
and
We
knowledge,
trained it, and the team kicked on. I still think, and I know Rory does, that we overachieved with that team, which might sound crazy, because if you look at where we finished that league that season, it wasn't anything to sing and dance about. But in terms of what we did with the resources we had, I think we overachieved, and a lot of that was coaching and tactical setup. It makes a massive difference. Okay, so that's the league covered. Couple of things we've got to cover. I know it's coming up to 3 o'clock, and you guys are probably going to be watching some more games coming up. But we've had a New England manager coming in terms of Thomas Tuchel. And we've also had, I mean, that one we can park, because that's probably a conversation for another one. But what I can't ignore is the incident that's happened at Tottenham Hotspur between Bentancur and Son. And the racist outburst that there has been from Bentancur, which has then resulted in him having a 7-game ban. But we've also then had Son come out and say, yeah, I'm all right with it, it's okay. Which doesn't sit well with me personally, because it feels like he's been put under pressure by the club to come out and make a release that kind of dampens it down, which is, okay, fair enough. That's how you're going to handle your press. But we're in 2024, and just looking at some figures here, there were 395 reports of player-targeted racism abuse in stadiums and online in the kick it out to kick it out in 2023 to 24 season, up from 277 in 2022 and 2023. 55% of those reports of racism aimed at specific players last season was towards those from an East Asian background. Of the 937 player-specific abuse reports to kick it out in the past 5 full seasons, 327 of them, which is 35%, have been directed at just 7 East and Southeast Asian players. So again, Rory, we've worked with players from all different parts of, the diaspora and heritage and wealth in terms of their family background and things. Just talk to me how you feel about that in 2024 as a young black manager.
To be honest, like my silence, it's just silence, because there's nothing I can really say, if I'm honest. No matter where in life, if it's football or anything like that, you're going to get things like that. You just got to know how to deal with it. The way I see it, obviously when my father is alive, it's the end of the day. When you're a different background and things like that, you got to try 10 times harder. Simple as. Yeah. So that's the way I look at it. So things like that, it doesn't even faze me. It doesn't even faze me. Because even when I was growing up, when I was like school, I was the only black person there.
Wow.
I was the only black person there, but at the end of the day, I just dealt with it. I just dealt with how to deal with it. Probably was a bad reaction from me, but at the end of the day, I just dealt with it. How I had to deal with it still. So,
you just handled the environment the best you could.
Yeah, I just handled it.
Yeah.
I mean, I even had to make a few people an example, but you know what I mean? Once you make that example, it's like, that example, it ain't gonna happen again. I'm not being, but still,
Yeah.
So
I hear you, bro.
It's a touchy subject, mate. I ain't gonna lie.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's so difficult because, like, for yourself, myself, and for those who can't see what Tristan and Rory look like, they're a more handsome version of me. So just imagine that, how beautiful they are. But they're the same shade. I think you'd say that Tristan's probably more Caramac and Rory's a bit more dairy milk. Yeah, we go along with that. But
You joker.
There you go. That got you off mute. So I mean, the beauty. What I'm saying is like, for me as a black guy in 2024 in the UK, I've run on a football pitch and I have people say all sorts of things at me. But like I've said to many people, your animosity towards me is my fuel. Do you know what I mean? And like, if you're hating me, that just tells me that you fear me. So I've won already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
If that's all you've got, then I've won.
What,
do you know what I mean? If you can't stop my speed, if you can't stop my power, if you can't stop my skill, and all you can do is resort to yourself to abuse, amazing. All right. Now, I'm going to spin this round a little bit because I know a few weeks ago something happened to Rory and his son. Rory, talk to me about your son and how well he's been doing. And I wonder if part of this, which is linked to what I was talking about, is the unconscious bias that is sometimes in football that is, again, the unspoken truth. Rory, talk to me about your son.
Right, so basically, obviously with my lad, he was playing for a certain team, a such team, I won't even call up a team's name. And obviously last season, he must have scored probably over 30 goals. And obviously, like during the pre-season, obviously I had a few discussions with the actual manager, and to actually just speak to him, just to let him know that obviously, like, do you know what I mean? My lad wants to still play for the team, but for him to play for the team, he needs to be coached better. Get better coaching instead of you relying on him, and get better players in to boost the squad up. So obviously what he's been doing over this pre-season was do like a pre-season training, like one-to-one training.
Yeah.
And obviously didn't commit to actually sign for him. And when my lad actually decided he wanted to say, okay, let me just go to a training session, everything was all good. And my lad would say, okay, I'll sign for him and see what's going on. And then within like 2-3 days, I got a text message from the actual manager saying, "Oh yeah, I think it's best that you actually, you know what I mean, your son don't actually sign for the team." But I was
Wow.
absolutely dumbfounded. I was like, "Wow." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "No problem at all." But the thing about it is, it's like, it's like it's such a bias. I didn't really want to go into it, to be fair. You know what I mean? 'Cause I'm bigger than that. Still, I didn't want to go into it, but
Mm,
it was like a bias thing. I won't say it's like a. It was no. I won't say it's like a color thing or anything like that. But
mm,
it's just bias, just strictly bias. To be
yeah.
honest, you know what I mean? It's like, for me to actually explain to my son to say, right, okay, then he says he doesn't want you to actually play. I says, okay, no problem at all.
Mm,
And like he couldn't understand. He goes, hold on a minute. If I scored like 30 odd goals last season and carried the team last season,
mm,
why don't they actually want me? You know what I
yeah.
mean?
So your
So
son's having to deal with the rejection side of things all of a sudden, and he's
yeah,
been successful.
he dealt with the rejection side of it, but obviously he's that strong-minded. He's strong-minded. That's one thing I can say. He's strong-minded.
Good.
So he just says to me, at the end of the day, Dad, I'm just going to prove them wrong because I know what I can do. I'm just going to prove them wrong. So within like say probably within a week or so, I've had a national league team offer him a trial.
So
So that's
talk to
what
us
it is
about
now.
the good news story now, Rory. This is the bit I want to finish on. Go on, tell me about this.
Yeah, so basically, so obviously, like he's just signed up for the National League Team Academy, like
Yeah,
his age group. So you know what I mean. He hasn't started playing yet, but he's been training and I actually love him and a nice side. I won't name the side, unnamed side.
yeah. Just to
You know what I
protect him.
mean?
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, unnamed side, but yeah, he's happy. At the end of
So
the
he's
day, he's
jumped up
happy. So
levels. So he's jumped up levels from where he was
yeah,
to where he's going to be now.
mm, mm.
So it's worked out
It
really
just
well.
goes to show. It just actually just goes to show, like the people who are doing certain things are doing it for the wrong reasons.
All the
You
wrong
know,
reasons. All
when
the
they do
wrong
it for the
reasons.
wrong reasons, like to protect their own people, and you
Yeah,
can't actually work like that. To be fair, if I'm honest, anyway, you know what I mean. Some
yeah,
managers are happy to imagine if you like they're playing 9-a-side.
yeah.
Some managers are happy to just have 9 players. You know that,
Yes.
and have
Yeah,
no substitutes. And then if someone can't turn up, they're playing with 8 or 7 players.
yeah. I've noticed that
Yeah,
when I've gone
yeah,
to coach development sessions around the county and beyond, because some of them are further away,
mm,
and you come across some of these youth team managers, and all they're asking these coach mentors, how do I get my team to win? And the coach
mm,
mentors are trying to say, no. The age group you're working with, all you should be
mm,
looking at is how do I develop my players? How do I
yeah,
make my players better players? If you
hmm,
do that, the wins will come just as a consequence of being a good coach and them
exactly.
making better players. But
Mm,
yeah, the under 10s, 11s, under 9s, under 8s, you see managers who are often an enthusiastic dad, and we can't discount them. And Dave Powell, good afternoon. Come to you in a second.
Good
You
afternoon.
can't discount them, but it is the case that there is sometimes a bit of nepotism where, oh, manager's son is in, no matter what, good, bad, or ugly, they're playing. And the problem with that is it alienates other players. It really
yeah.
does. Or likewise, manager's daughter, or it's and that's male or female managers again. Because
So Paul,
again,
when you touched on that subject, yeah. So basically, I just told you, I say because the certain person's son, he changed position from last season. He was playing at the back, yeah. So
okay,
he played up front. So when he's coming played up front to actually protect the position, that's
yeah,
what happened. That's the reason
wow,
why they want my lad. And
oof,
he was scoring all the goals. He was scored like 30 odd goals last season. So obviously it was like to me, it's like the competition. It's a competition.
yeah.
They couldn't have like a competition thing going on.
So
So
if we
that's why
put it in
they say
context for
that's my goal.
people, that's like Liverpool pulling Salah out of our team, isn't it? That's like Slot saying, Salah, see ya, don't need you no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the equivalent,
Mhm.
isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
You can
just
say
put it
that.
in
Yeah.
context for people.
Mhm.
So, no, Rory, I'm so pleased to hear that your boy has moved on to a team that's levels above where he was, which is brilliant. I know
Yeah.
how hard you work to make him better and support him, as well as the other football commitments and work commitments you have. And I also want to say a big congratulations to you with your new job. Yeah, well done.
Cheers.
Can I mention
Thanks,
the company name? Because it's a big company.
Yeah, you can do if you want to. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Bro, well done for getting a job with Vodafone. Big up, big
Okay.
up. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cool. All right,
Man.
listen, I'm going to introduce to you now somebody who's just joined us and waited very patiently. Dave Powell, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah. How you doing, Dave?
I'm very good. Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. First time on your broadcast.
That's all right. You're only an hour late. Started at 2.
I've only just seen a message, to be honest. So yeah, sorry. I've just seen a message.
I'm sure I rung you earlier and said I was going live at 2, but it's all good. It's all good. It's no worries.
Yeah, but a busy,
Do you know what I mean?
busy day.
It reminds me of the Jamaican podcasts that I do that just start at any time and finish at any time. There's no structure. Rory knows because Rory comes on with me sometimes, and literally these things can sometimes be for 1 hour, 3 hours, 4 hours, and literally I ain't even gonna lie. There was one I was on. I literally fell asleep towards the end of the podcast. I was so tired. It was so long. I literally fell asleep.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, we was on there for like 4 hours the other night when Jamaica were playing. We was on there for like 4 hours. Yeah.
It was so long. It was so long. It's madness. But no, them guys over there, they're brilliant. And they, do you know what? They love their schoolboy football and they're passionate.
Yeah.
And
100%.
some of the conversations are just wicked. They're just so good. So funny. If you ever need a pick-me-up, Dave, just tune into the Saudi Crest Show. It's hosted by my cousin Kevin. He's vice principal in Jamaica, but he's also big in the football over there as well. And some of the guys on there, Naldo, Mr. Lee, Saudi. Oh Lord, jeez, they're just mercy. Yeah, I'll just say mercy.
Right. I'll have to check that. I'll have to check that out definitely.
Yeah, right, it's good.
Thank you.
It's good. So, Dave, just take a minute or two and just introduce yourself to everyone who's on and to anybody who might tune in when I post this later. Because we've got no live listeners, sadly. I think maybe because I posted it onto YouTube rather than Facebook. So that's a bit of learning for me. It's a whole new world of this podcasting for me. So I'm learning as I go. But yeah, Dave, talk to me about what you do. I know you come from an organisation that you've helped set up, which you call Time to Talk. What does Time to Talk do?
Yeah, so Time to Talk's an organisation that works with around mental. I use the term mental wealth, well-being, mental health. It's currently supporting men, but hopefully going forward, it's men and young people. But we've only been going a year. We hold monthly meetings. We do walk and talks. We go to the countryside and walk. Based in Derby City, so we've got Derbyshire around. It's quite easily accessible, and we also started doing a kick in the park with Paul, which Paul organised for us, collaborating with FootballWorks. We're going to be doing loads of activities, bike rides. We're going to do events, workshops, activities in the community. I also link up with a local pub, kind of drop in. So there's lots of things we do, but it's around men's mental wealth, basically.
Fantastic. So, Dave, I mean, that's a really, really valuable space to have created and to continue to operate in. What inspired you to go in that direction?
I always describe myself as being quite organic. Thing, I'm not a great planner of things, but it was a natural progression from my background in social work, youth justice, mental health. I'm a therapist, I'm a trainer. I'm also a community. I've always been involved actively in the community. Football, youth football. Used to manage youth football, coach.
Some of the teams you used to manage, Dave?
So Chesapeake, I forgot what they were called before that. Actually, there's Chesapeake, but Normanton All Stars was the main club that I was involved, which we ended up being a club of 9 teams, and I managed over a few different generations of young people with that club.
Fantastic.
And yeah, I used to be a semi-baller back in the day, whatever that means.
Whatever that means. So is that you were semi-pro? You got paid, or just a good amateur?
I was just a good. I think I was a decent player. Let's say that. Well,
if I think back to last week, you were showing some silky feet, and there was some footage online of some of your skills and some of the goals you scored. So yeah, definitely can concur with that. You definitely got the skills. Definitely got the skills.
I'm of an age. Yeah, I'm of an age.
Brilliant. Well, do you know what's nice is the fact that you're on and Tristan's on, because I did say to Tristan, I hope he could join us today because, Tristan, if you want to talk a little bit about your journey with well-being and men's health and stuff like that. Dave, as I said, he's the founder and the lead of Time to Talk. They after the football on Saturday with myself, they also then on Sunday went to Ashbourne to the Stepping Stones. Is that right, Dave?
Yeah, Dovedale. Yeah.
Yeah. And did some people fall in the water? Is that what I saw?
There's actually a person who's in the group who comes with us is from Bosnia. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I might be bloody, but from a war-torn country. He's actually blind, sight impaired, and he's got limbs missing. He comes on the walks with us. But
fantastic!
Going over the steps, he did tumble in. It was nothing major. But it was a bit. Going over those steps was a bit of a
challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge. But
it was a challenge.
Got there,
but he stepped up to the challenge. He tried, didn't he? And that's amazing.
Oh, he's up for. He's very. He loves going on these walks, and obviously tries to be as independent as possible. We just lead him, and he just goes through some terrain. He gets about really well, and he enjoys it. Really good.
And you guys support him, and I think that's and that's the key point is the support aspect, because I know myself during lockdown. I was on a podcast, and I won't name drop, but I was on a podcast with a very good friend of mine in the football industry who'd taken the time to kind of be in my living room, well, not my living room, be in my upstairs office by being on Teams and having like one-to-one. And this person's mentored me over the years, and I've been very privileged to have somebody of that ilk and have a direct line to them.
Yeah.
But what I did once the FA opened the guidance, where we did the kick in the park last week, I started doing like coaching sessions for 5. So just 5 individuals distanced. And I couldn't believe the feedback I got from people saying, "Oh, Paul, you've really helped my mental health. I was really struggling. I was really suffering." And it couldn't be more fitting, because today our ex-captain at Borowash, Kyle Thurman, there's some lads going who'll be playing like a memorial game at Ilkeston Town today. It's probably no secret, if I'm not out of step to say this, but Kyle had his own journey with mental health and well-being and stuff like that. But he was a good kid and a good lad and a really good footballer. So it's sad that he's no longer with us. But respect due to Kyle, and forever in our thoughts. So Tristan, I just want you to kind of link with Dave a little bit and just talk to Dave about your journey a little bit. Tristan's a big lover of football, an Arsenal fan, which I won't hold against him because I'm outnumbered. We're both Arsenal fans. But Tristan, have a chat with Dave about your journey and stuff like that.
Well done, Dave.
Yeah, man.
Well done. Yes. I'm basically I learned from my nan to be an activist. So basically, when I took up the mental health, I worked with early interventions when I first came into Derby. You might probably have heard of them. They've recirculated themselves again now. They asked me to design a leaflet, but I said no, because kids don't read leaflets. So what I did is I designed a drama workshop, and I said, black people don't have a chip on their shoulder. It's just that they come in to places, and you may think they have a chip on their shoulder. It's just that they're going through something. And it's not a chip on their shoulder. And I said drama is a way to break it down, because when they go through drama, you can tell something's up when they're expressing the lines, when they're expressing whatever, and you can quickly pull them to the side and quickly address them. You understand? So we did drama workshops, we did drama all over Leicester. We did a play. We actually won an award for our play, and I told my story all over Leicester about my mental health and where I'd been through, what I'd come through, my coma, my everything that I'd come through, the heat that only certain people would walk on the street with me because there's so much heat on me from where I come from. And it was a change, and we did play football together, and I managed a football team actually in the mental health as well. And then finished second actually in a little tournament, so that was amazing as well. And that brought me pure love from the people. MPs turned up. I spoke to MPs, I spoke to Conservative MPs, I spoke to a lot of MPs about young black mental health and young mental health in general as well.
Wow. Do you say you're Derby?
Yeah.
I'm from London, but I'm in Derby now. I did all my work in Derby.
Right. I need to link up with you outside of this environment here, but fantastic. No, I mean, I've been around a long time. I'm a old head in football and in the services. And that's great. I've been involved in using drama as a way of engaging people. And touching on what you just said there.
Yeah.
When I worked in the CAM service, the children and adolescent services, and as manager for a while as well. And one of the things the evident was the lack of black young people who actually access services, whilst when we go into adult services, that's when we tend to get black people getting into those services and being treated in more critical kind of levels, more so it's interesting, and it is about what you said there about kind of ways of engaging, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing in the community, because I've worked in services, local authority, NHS all my life virtually, and now I want to go. I'm a bottom upward kind of guy, that works with me more organically and naturally. That's my skills, you know what I mean? So
And you know how we are as well. We don't open our lives like a can of worms.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how we are. And that's how we are. And that's how we are as a community. And that's what the drama was introduced for. And that's why I got a lot of funding so it could help young entrepreneurs that do rap and music open up. And these youth open up, and these workshops in these schools, talk to them so they can open up and they can do a little bit of drama themselves, open up. And really, really open up, because I knew that a lot of black people were pushed into sports and they were doing a lot of athletics, music and drama and stuff like that. And that was amazing. So it was my way of giving back to the community. And then after early interventions, after they got the funding straight away, and this was like 2000, probably about 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. They started doing young youth drama work all throughout their workshops. So all they do now is drama. So it was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Fantastic. I wonder if I've met you before, because that's something I need to link up with you, because I mean, for example, because I used to work in youth justice prior to youth mental health. And that's when I was involved. I'm a DJ as well, so I've involved. I set up music workshops for a lot of young black men. It was around the time when there was kind of the gang kind of business going on, And I managed to get. This was before another service that was developed came along. We developed, we gathered all these guys in a workshop, all these different people in different areas using music, and as I said, at the same time. We had we set up drama therapy. This was youth justice actually at the time, but again, with the same ambition and idea of engaging people in creative ways. You know what I mean? And creativity's become a really big thing for me as well, actually.
And I think you hit on a really good point there, Dave, because something we've talked about. And because I'm in my history, I've also got 7 years of working history in mental health. And probably close to 10 years in total in social care in different settings as overall, as well as being the primary care of somebody who had bipolar schizoaffective disorder in my mum. So I've got a lived experience as well as a work experience. But Tristan, had football gone ahead today, Tristan was going to attend. So there'd have been a chance for you to connect. Yeah. So if anything, today's podcast is a replacement of not being able to do the kick in the park because of the weather. It's sort of beating us, but yeah, I what we can do after the show, I'll just make sure that you guys, once we're offline, I'll make sure you guys can stay on, exchange details, and that's what I want. And as I said to you last week, and I've done this thing for 20 years, and sometimes it's just getting a bag of balls and going over a park with a lad or a few lads. Taking penalty shots and free kicks or corners, and then having a chat afterwards, and as a result of that, a few weeks later, somebody's feeling better than they did 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. I don't know why it works, but it does, and because it does, I've kept doing it. But the main thing we said was collaboration, and I can't even take credit for that. I was watching an interview for one of the musicians I quite like, Justin Timberlake, especially some of his most recent solo stuff, but also some of his most recent collaborations. And the interview, he talked about being, or the one of the most powerful things being working in collaboration with people. And it is that thing where all three of us here have got different experiences in our lives, but it means that we're bringing something to the table that when you combine that with somebody else or others, it becomes stronger and more powerful, because there's different aspects that we all bring. There's different strengths that we all have. Tristan's got an amazing story, which I'll allow him to tell when he's ready to. It doesn't have to be today. But he's got an amazing story that he has survived. And not only survived, but he's thriving as a result of that. And that, for young people, especially young black males, where absent fatherism, or even if they have fathers present, are they the most positive in the way in which they're raising their sons? That's something that I care passionately about. I've not been blessed with children myself, but I do try and use my coaching as an opportunity just to be responsible. And you probably can identify with this, Dave, teams that you've set up where it's a kids team and some of those are young adults or mid-20s now, how they'll see you out shopping or at your petrol station or wherever, and they're still like Dave or Paul or this, that, and the other. I can remember one lad contacted me. He's got a mum, he's got a dad, and he asked me to take him into town and help him open his first bank account.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Talking to, went into Ross, actually saw some old football guys I know. A guy who I used to manage alongside, he was the manager, I was the coach actually, and just having that a young guy, actually Warren Moore, who's doing some football now.
Redwood Colts, yeah.
Conversation about the impact that you have that you don't even realise sometimes. And it's that kind of and actually, ironically, we was talking about role models. Actually,
yes.
Thing, as a football coaches are role models. Football manage whatever is a role model.
Well, I'll take it further than that. When I did my course with the FA, my mentoring course with the FA, what they actually said was that you're more than a coach, you're more than a role model. You will sometimes almost be a surrogate parent to that child.
Yes, you are.
And that you have to understand that, appreciate it, own that, because that's a lot of responsibility that somebody will look up to you in that way. It means that you have to be perfect how you carry yourself and what you do, because you don't know now when somebody's watching you and looking at you or seeing what you do. But I can promise you, because I've had lads come to me and ring me and say, "Oh, Paul, I've just got married. Paul, I've just had my first child. Paul, I've just got a degree at university." I've not spoken to them for 10 years. And they've just rung me out of the blue, because my number never changes. And they've rung me out of the blue and told me this, or they found me on social media. The last one, well, not the last one, but one that was a beauty for me was, again, one of my under-15s from Sherwin Club, just after I'd done my first FA badge. I was doing some work for the business that I'm with outside of doing the FootballWorks stuff. And he's the manager of Gym Group at the top of Normanton Road. I was just like, wow, unbelievable. Yeah. And I mean, my wife was always very fond of him. I won't embarrass him by name because he gave me permission to name him. But I was just like, wow, there's another one of, if you like, my boys, and they're just sailing. They're just doing really well. Now, there are other lads who have not done so well, and I've tried to continue to mentor them as young adults and help them. But it's hugely humbling when these young men, and again, another one of them, he's just not long done a half marathon, even though his legs were killing, but he's just had his first daughter. And again, he was on the phone to me, and I'm just like, wow, amazing. So yeah, it's a massive thing. It's a massive thing. But it just shows that the concepts that you have in Tristan, the ideas that you've put into place, Dave, they're worth something, and they're necessary, and we've just got to keep going with what we're doing and working together.
We've got to show. Look, we have to show them how to love thy neighbor. When
100%.
someone comes to me, yeah, and shows me that type of thing. Remember, I lived in Stoke and I went to a Stoke school, and the black guy in the only black guy in the other class, black guy in the school was me, would turn around and say, "I'm not black, I'm white."
Mm.
Right, and I got chased, and my sister got chased, and we had to fight, and every boy off my sister had to fight every boy off me. No, when I grew up, I said, no, I'm going to teach you how to love your neighbor. Since you can't, I'm going to teach you how to love your neighbor, because that's how
Amen.
you should be, and that's
Amen.
what we need to do. We need to teach them how to love thy neighbor, because
Amen.
obviously they can't do it right.
I love that.
Mm.
Absolutely love that, Tristan. I think that's a perfect way to wrap it up for today, as we come up to 90 minutes, which is like effectively a football game. Guys, Dave, I'll start with you. Any leaving or lasting remarks you want to leave for this episode? Me and Dave, Tristan, more than welcome, all of you. We've got to do this again. But I'm just conscious that I've also got to do some shopping, and the wife might kick me out if I don't get it done.
No, as I say, it was a last minute request on the back of the kick. You know, we've mentioned it, but it was last minute request. And as I say, when I only saw the message a bit ago, when I saw the message, I thought, oh, I don't know if to jump it. I don't know what was, you know, because I didn't know exactly how it runs. But thank you for the invitation. Fantastic. It's been for a reason, because I will link up with Tristan, and something will happen as a result of that, whether it's a conversation, whether it's a collaboration, whether it's a share, you know. I just know it will. Paul, obviously we're working together. Collaboration is my middle name, unofficially. It's Lloyd.
So it's DCP, Dave Collaboration Powell, yeah? That's how I should refer to you, DCP, yeah?
DCP.
Love it. Brilliant. Tristan.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Stay on the line though, Dave. Stay on the line, because I'll just close out the show. Tristan, your closing remarks?
Well, my closing remarks is a great show, wonderful talk, and let's continue to help each other and everyone we can in this world
Amen.
that we look down in, this world that is so hard done by.
Amen.
And I pray that, you know, that we come together, we show a strength of unity in every culture, in every way. And
I love
thanks
that.
for the
Thank
football.
you.
Thank you for the football.
Okay, so I'm just going to close out the show by saying a few words. I'm just going to say to anybody who finds this online, if you need our help or you need help, please don't suffer in silence, okay? Find me on any social media you can, at FootballWorks, on Twitter, on Insta, on Facebook, even on TikTok now. Actually, on TikTok, it's at FootballWorks8. Add me, follow me, message me. If we can help, we will, yeah? I just want to say to the three guys who came on today, to Rory, who's had to go, to Dave Collaboration Powell, and Tristan, thank you so much for being part of it, because otherwise I'd have stood here for 90 minutes on my own and looked a bit like a sado. So no, thank you for making the show what it is. I had this concept in my head for about 6 or 7 years, and now it's happening. And you guys are what are giving me the fuel and the confidence to keep going. So you're helping me as much as I hopefully am helping you. And I just want to say to anybody out there, God look after you, God bless you, and keep safe in these troubled times. Not everything is doom and gloom in the world as much as it's presented. There are good people doing good things. You just have to open your eyes and find them, because they're there. They are
Please
there.
open your eyes. We are here for all of you. Please open your eyes.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who will be watching this, not live, because me being me and not learning what I should have done, I've put it on YouTube live rather than Facebook live, where I've got more followers. But I'm going to link it up, and so hopefully we'll see the views grow. I think the first one got about 80 views. Hopefully we can grow past that. I'm going to be doing some things in the near future. At the moment, I've been cropped. Somebody tore the ligaments in my ankle last night. Thank you for that, young man. But 6 to 8 weeks and I'll be back on it. I'm going to be looking to do some sponsored walking. One of the ideas that has been put towards me is to walk from 2 football grounds locally, say something like Burton to Derby, to the Pride, so from the Pirelli to the Pride Park Stadium, and try and raise some funds. So I'm going to be looking at that and who can help volunteer and support us doing that as a group or even as individuals. But I'm going to have to get my legs fixed before we can do that. And we're going to continue with a kick in the park. The next one we're aiming for is 1/2 Saturday next week. Again, just check social medias for links onto that. Dave's network through Time to Talk and Food for Thought. Tristan, circulate the information between your networks. And we're just going to keep sharing ideas and trying things.
Okay.
Those that work, we'll continue with. Those that don't, doesn't matter. We tried it. If it didn't go no further, we tried something. And that's what it's all about, just working together and sharing ideas. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Stay on the line for a minute so you can swap details. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. Leave your comments. Try and be nice. It is coming up to Christmas. And thank you again for taking the time. We're out.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.